The Mismeasure of Man is a nonfiction book written by paleontologist and evolutionary biologist Stephen Jay Gould, published in 1981. The book critiques the history of efforts to measure human intelligence and attributes, particularly the misuse of scientific concepts to support prejudiced ideologies. Key points covered in the book include 1. Historical context. Gould begins by examining the historical context of efforts to quantify human intelligence, particularly during the 19th and early 20th centuries. He discusses how these attempts were often influenced by social, cultural, and political biases. 2. Intelligence testing. The book delves into the history of intelligence testing, including the development of tests like IQ tests. Gould critiques the assumptions and biases that were embedded in these tests, leading to inaccurate and discriminatory conclusions about individuals and groups. 3. Biological determinism. Gould addresses the concept of biological determinism, which suggests that human traits and abilities are solely determined by genetics. He argues against oversimplified explanations that ignore the influence of environment and culture. 4. The Bell Curve. The book responds to The Bell Curve, a controversial book published in the 1990s that claimed to link intelligence to genetics and proposed that intelligence was primarily determined by race. Gould critically analyzes the scientific validity and ethical implications of such claims. 5. Scientific racism. Gould discusses the history of scientific racism and eugenics, highlighting how these ideologies were used to justify discriminatory practices and policies. He examines the misuse of skull measurements and other physical traits to promote prejudiced views. 6. Critique of craniometry. Gould critiques the pseudoscience of craniometry, which involved measuring skull sizes and shapes to make claims about intelligence. He shows how these measurements were often distorted to fit preconceived notions of racial hierarchy. 7. Variability within and between groups. Gould emphasizes the importance of recognizing the variability within and between different human groups. He argues that individuals within a group can be more different from each other than they are from individuals in other groups, challenging the notion of distinct racial categories. 8. Nature versus nurture. The book engages with the nature versus nurture debate, asserting that human traits are influenced by a complex interplay of genetic and environmental factors. Gould criticizes simplistic and reductionist arguments that ignore this complexity. The Mismeasure of Man is a critical examination of the misuse of science to support biased and prejudiced beliefs about human intelligence and differences. Gould's work challenges readers to consider the social and cultural contexts that shape scientific research and the ethical implications of using science to justify discriminatory practices. Through historical analysis and thoughtful critique, Gould highlights the importance of approaching scientific inquiry with rigor, humility, and an awareness of the potential for misuse.